This is the Caribbean America's Single Economy, and this is the case report and news. I'm Anthony Weeks reporting, and let's go straight to the headlines as to what's happening within the region. This is where you will also hear in terms of development, latest breaking developing news as regards to the business ecosystem in the region as it affects all of us, because as we state this, we are part of one region, the Americas, the Pan American region, and that it consists of North America, South America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. And this is why we call it the case report, the Caribbean America's Single Economy. And we also will hear later on in terms of our Bloomberg report, bringing you the latest market and financial news, as well as economic news, and any public policy that is relevant as well. But before I continue, I'm sure some of you have probably heard by now, Facebook has made a decision to rebrand itself. And you're going to hear lots more about this, obviously, in the days and weeks to come, months to come, this new rebranding and changing the narrative and the messaging, because obviously, they feel it's time to do that. The name is interesting, though. The name is interesting. By the way, every major corporation who have gone through a renaming, rebranding, it hasn't gone so well. It hasn't gone so well. But in particular, Facebook, when they changed their name, their stock did well. So go figure. And so maybe somehow this is something a little bit different, an anomaly, if you will, where Facebook changes, and it's a derivative from what they're calling metaverse. It's very complicated, very technical. I'm not even going to get into that with you guys, but we'll stay on top of it. We'll report it. But it speaks to, again, the transformation of the real world, going from brick and mortar to the virtual world, the digital space. You're going to hear a lot about it. Don't take it for granted. Don't dismiss it, because that is the future. Okay. When we talk about a virtual world, a digital world, that's what the name change in Facebook is about. No longer calling itself Facebook, but calling itself Meta. It's like, just as a little sidebar, it's like when Prince was alive, he called himself the artist formerly known as Prince. It was necessary for him to do that, but who knows? But it speaks to Facebook changing course, changing direction, because it's now on the trajectory of what the future is going to look like. And so the new name of Facebook is called Meta. Okay. And so you'll hear some more report as the days and weeks go by on this subject matter. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening within the region, and report to you what's happening regionally here on the program. All right. So let's take a look at some of the headlines. And the headlines, first caption story: Caribbean export, University of West Indies sign memorandum of understanding to boost trade and investment in the Caribbean. Trade and investment in the Caribbean have received a big boost through a new partnership forged between the Caribbean Export Development Agency and the Shridat Rampal Center for International Trade Law, acronym SRC, at the University of the West Indies. The partners have agreed on a framework to work together on a trade and investment research agenda. The agreement outlines several initiatives which will contribute to the enhanced competitiveness and sustainability development of the Caribbean region, including research, joint programs, and internship. And this is obviously important in terms of the development here, because when we think of the role of institutions, and obviously when we UWI is an academic institution, So academia is always going to do their part in terms of the readiness of the workforce and preparing the workforce for what the future is going to look like. And clearly, that is the spirit of the relationship between um, you know the whatchamacallit. All right. So what I'm going to have to do is I just realized I made a boo boo here. I'm going to continue, but I don't know how I'm going to fix it. But I made a boo boo. But anyway, the the university is going to build a strong relationship with its partner, Caribbean Export, and it's going to speak to a number of different areas. The partnership is seen as an important one for Caribbean Export, as it supports the goal of positioning the agency as a knowledge hub while continuing to provide a high impact support for micro and small and medium size enterprise in the region. Caribbean Export is the regional trade and investment promotion agency focused on building a resilient Caribbean by providing cutting edge and high impact support to the private sector. Through working closely with the businesses to increase exports and attract investment, Caribbean Export contributes towards the creation of jobs, transformation of our economies, and supports the Caribbean to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This partnership between the Caribbean Export and the SRC will ensure private sector access to cutting edge trade information to enhance decision making, export competitiveness, and facilitate the business expansion. The research data will also be key in identifying areas of innovation for regional investments program. In addition, the collaboration will provide students in the International Trade Policy Master's Program with the opportunity to gain much needed on the job training and experience. The organizations are scheduled to sign the Memorandum of Understanding today, Friday. They signed it October 1st of 2021. During the online event, there were remarks made from Caribbean Export Executive Director Deodat Maharaj, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal of UWI, Professor Clive Landis, and the Director of the SRC, Dr. Jan East Remy. Also reporting, we have the Guyanese take on ExxonMobil over carbon emission. International oil firm ExxonMobil has been taken to court by two Guyanese who have fingered the oil company's practices as being harmful to the environment. Meanwhile, the Guyanese government, which is in bed contractually with the ExxonMobil, is telling the world that it is on track to achieving zero net emission by 2050. In his address to the United Nations General Assembly last week, Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat, Minister of Parliament, outlined these targets while speaking on the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 7, the goal which is one of the 17 aimed to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. In its proposal are mixed of natural gas and hydro power and solar wind. He said in a virtual address, we are also fully supporting the commitment of net zero emission by 2050. Guyana's commitment to these objectives is demonstrated by the action we're taking to transform our energy sector. The energy sector is being re-engineered as an engine of economic growth by improving energy security, realizing universal energy access, and diversifying the energy mix, and reducing greenhouse gas emission through various sustainable energy projects. Also, let's take a look at some of the next caption headline. Montserrat, the island of Montserrat reopens, but only to the wealthy. According to the headlines, in an effort to keep the COVID-19 virus out the country while maintaining some tourist revenue, Montserrat opened its borders in April this year to only the wealthiest holiday makers who make at least, now this number doesn't make any sense. I think it's $7,000 per month. It says a year, because $7,000 a month, $7,000 a year is surely, definitely, that's poverty. So I think they meant to say $7,000 per month. Not only do they have to pass the financial background check, but visitors have to commit to staying for at least 2 months. In exchange, they get an almost COVID-19 free exclusive access to beaches and the island. Soon after the British territory detected its first few COVID-19 cases in March 2020, it closed its border to tourists. It cautiously reopened this year with the remote worker program, requiring both vaccinated and unvaccinated visitors to quarantine for 2 weeks and then take a COVID-19 test before exploring the island. So far, 21 travelers from 7 families have met the government's selective criteria. The UK government has put the island on its quarantine-free green travel list. However, the UK still has the territory under warning for natural disasters, as 2/3 of the island is vulnerable to volcanic activities. There has been no major volcanic activity since February 2010. Montserrat is also currently in its hurricane season, which normally runs from June to November. Also next, the US FDA, this is a story that is dated, but there's a follow-up story behind that. But let's look at the dated story first. US FDA detained parts of soap shipments from Blue Powder Group. This company, Blue Powder Group, the United States Food and Drugs Administration, the FDA has detained parts of 2 shipments of soap exported from Jamaica by the Blue Powder Group. Again, this was reported September 30th. There's a updated story which I'll share with you, but this occurred September 30th, 2021. The FDA, which is responsible for protecting America's public health by ensuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human and veterinary drugs, biological products, cosmetic and food, etc., detained the shipments for review in relations to compliance with regulations. The shipment were being sent to Blue Powder's American distributor, Iberia Foods, which is a leading food and beverage distributor within America's Hispanic and Caribbean markets. The Jamaica Observer has been reliably informed with the detention of the shipment, which was due to the FDA having concerns about the aspect of the labeling describing the product as a soap rather than a cosmetic. When contacted, Blue Powder Chairman Dr. Daru Tanner confirmed the detention. He told Business Observer 2 partial shipments of our soaps were held back by the FDA in the United States, mainly because of the labeling requirements, and that this matter is now being dealt with mainly by our attorney in the United States. We expect that the matter will be resolved very soon and will be free to ship our product to the United States very soon. At the moment, there is no hold on our laundry soap, which is being shipped without any problem whatsoever. Blue Powder is, however, emphasizing that it is relationship with the Iberia food in the United States continues to be good. If a product meets the regulatory definition of soap, it is regulated by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and not by the FDA. However, if the cosmetic then is if it is a cosmetic, then it is regulated by the FDA. Cosmetic market in the United States, whether manufactured there or imported, must be in compliance with the provision of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the FD&C Act, Fair Packaging and Labeling Act, external linked disclaimer, and the regulation published under the authority of these laws. The FD&C Act defines cosmetic as articles intended to be applied to human body for cleansing, beautifying, promoting, attraction, and altering the appearance without affecting the body's structure or functions. However, soap products consisting primarily of all alkali, salt of fatty acid, and making no label claims other than cleansing of the human body are not considered cosmetics under the law. To meet the definition of soap in the FDA's regulation, a product has to meet three conditions. And the three conditions are, number one, what it's made of to be regulated as a soap. The product must be composed mainly of the alkali salt of fatty acid. That is the material you get when you combine fats or oil with an alkali such as lye. Two, what ingredients cause its cleaning action to be regulated a soap. Those alkali salts of fatty acid must be the only materials that result in the product's cleaning action. If the product contains synthetic detergents, it's a cosmetic, not a soap. You can still use the word soap on the label though. Number three, it says here how it's intended to be used. To be regulated as a soap, it must be labeled and marked only for the use as soap. If it is intended for purposes such as moisturizing the skin, making the user smell nice, or deodorizing the user's body, it is a cosmetic. Or if the product is intended to treat or prevent disease, such as by killing germs or treating skin conditions such as acne or eczema, its drugs, it still can be used. The word soap can still be labeled on the product as well. Then the follow-up story by the report by the powder soap company, the Blue Power soap company. It says, "We play by the rules," Blue Power insisted. It says here that the Jamaican soap manufacturer Blue Powder Group is insistent it did nothing wrong, as it has filed a strong preliminary defense to the lawsuit that has been brought against the company and government of Jamaica by its Dominican rival, Dominica Coconut Product successor. The issue now is in court after the Council for the Trade and Economic Development, the organization of CARICOM that promotes trade and economic development and oversees operation of the single market economy, ruled in favor of the DCPS last November. Then you have here, in its preliminary defense, Blue Powder advised the Supreme Court of Jamaica that it did nothing wrong, but followed the rules laid down by the Jamaica's Trade and Customs Regulation in applying for a certificate of origin in respect of soap produced from soap pellets and noodles imported from outside of CARICOM, which is used in its soap and manufacturing process. Blue Powder argues that the matter being raised by the lawsuit are issues of policy under the purview of the government of Jamaica. However, the Jamaica Stock Exchange listed company has emphasized that the importance of the clarifying the matter of the tariff classification, which Blue Powder is required to use, and for this reason, it is useful to be part of the defense. All right, so let's stop there. Those are the latest headlines and report for the region within the business and economy within the Caribbean Caribbean America single economy, and reporting for the case report and news regarding what's happening in the region. Coming up next, we'll continue with the WSDX Bloomberg report, bringing you the latest global news in terms of the markets, business, and the economy. I'm Anthony Weeks reporting for Case Report News. Until next week, stay safe and we'll talk soon.